Hello, everyone. I'm Sam Eckmann of Gold Derby, and I'm here with Bella Ramsey of the HBO series The Last of Us. And I think one of my favorite results of this show, Bella, is all of your social media posts
Ah,
detailing kind of like the friendship of you and Pedro Pascal is really great to see. How quickly did that form? What made that friendship kind of lock in?
I mean, yeah, although I've been pleased to like be able to post behind the scenes photos now. I think there was like an instant connection when we first met. The first time we met was actually on set. Pedro was there for I think he was filming. I hadn't started filming yet, and yeah, we met, and there was like there was an instant connection. But I say we really like bonded from being in a car together. Like, what episode would it have been? It would have been episode three. Uh, I think being in but it's something about being like stuck in a car with someone that you just like you can't help but bond. So we instantly got on, and our relationship just like grew and grew throughout the entire show.
Yeah. Did you compare notes about Game of Thrones since you didn't actually intersect on that show?
Yeah, we did. We had very different experiences of it. He did all of his stuff in like the warm countries, and I did all of mine in like rainy Belfast. So I think we had very different experiences, but we bonded over the fact that it was like the launch pad for both of our careers. It was like Pedro's like big break and my first show ever. So it was it was a great time, and the team was so talented, and yeah, it's a very they very much like take you under their wing. I think when you're on when you're on Game of Thrones, it felt very protected and,
Hmm.
and nice. Yeah.
That's great. And I think you were about 11 years old when you first signed on to that series, which is very young to, decide I'm going to start this acting career. What was it then that made you fall in love with acting and decide I want to do this and I want to do it now?
Well, I decided that I, s- I don't think I ever. I'm thinking out loud. So I never thought about. I never just like considered that being an actor is a thing you could do until I got this part. I was part of a group called the Television Workshop, who acts as your agent as well as just being like a great place to go to once a week. And so that's how I got into it and ended up getting these auditions. Got the Game of Thrones audition, and then it wasn't until I was on set and I just felt instantly like it was where I was supposed to be. It's kind of a cliche and kind of cringy, but like there was nowhere. I'd never felt like I'd sort of belonged anywhere more than I felt like that on Game of Thrones. I was so young and like more than I had. Yeah, I think it was the first time on a set, and then since then that feeling has continued. It's like every set I go to, it's just like I'm just so instantly comfortable. I'm never like instantly comfortable in a place, but sets are magical for me.
That's great. Well,
Yeah.
on this set, this show, The Last of Us, it's based on a video game, which the game actually, was a huge moment in the industry, and I think changed storytelling in the gaming industry. Were you aware of that game? Did you go back to that for inspiration at all? What's your relationship like with that?
I was aware of the game. I hadn't played it, but I'd read about it. I'd read about its queer storylines actually. I think that's how I first got to know about it. And yeah, it was great. I mean, I read the scripts and everything was every like all the best bits of the game was just so well translated for the screen in Craig's scripts that I didn't feel like I needed, and they also didn't want me to watch or play the game. I did watch some of the gameplay though to like get me into it, and I think that was really helpful. But yeah, I didn't know that much about it really.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's certain scenes that are, almost like line for line recreations.
Mm.
Like I'm thinking of you have a great moment with Pedro in that pink bedroom, which is a very famous scene
Yeah.
from the game.
Yes.
Uh, and that's an incredible moment. What is it like kind of looking at that when it's already been done? It's already been, and it's so close to the game. How do you then go in and find your own way to interpret that?
Oh, it's a lot of pressure for sure. And that was the I lost sleep over that scene. Like after we did it, I just you just constantly thinking about how I could have done it better. It's yeah, that is it's a challenge, definitely, because you want to do it justice because it was so brilliantly done, but at the same time, like it isn't supposed to be an exact replica. So I think it's just about like having to like have the knowledge of the game version, just trust that that's like in my subconscious, and then just go for it on the day. I think the more that I think about it, the more that I think about the scene that I'm doing, like the worse that it is, weirdly. The more that I like don't think about it and just like be in it, the better. So just try to do that.
Did your friendship with Pedro help that scene, or did it make it harder? Because they say some very hurtful things to one another in that moment.
They do. No, it was definitely helpful. My friendship with Pedro was definitely helpful for that scene because we both felt the pressure of that because we knew how iconic it was, and we both beat ourselves up over it. So it was nice to have that friend that you could like. I could just look at him and know exactly what's going on in his head. So I was just like, stop it, stop torturing yourself, and he would do the same to me. Um, and yeah, we helped each other out massively. I think we really like lent on each other during that scene and other like iconic moments that we felt the pressure.
Hmm. And you have Neil Druckmann there working on the show who helped, create all of this. Was there any kind of a particular piece of insight he offered about Ellie that was meaningful, that helped your character building?
Yeah, I mean, we talked a lot. Like, I had a meeting with Neil actually. He directed one of the episodes, episode 2, I think it was. He directed, and so we like went out for lunch or something and chatted about it all. And I can't remember specifics to be honest of like specific things that he told me about Ellie, but we just like generally chatted about the character and about Ashley. The thing that he kept telling me was like how similar me and Ashley are in terms of like personality. And like mannerisms and stuff. So that was cool. We sort of just chatted about that, and yeah, he's great.
I really appreciate that this show and this story, even though it's like an apocalyptic setting,
Mm.
has very, human, quiet moments to it. It's not always about the infected people. And I think you have that like a great moment with in the Left Behind episode
Mm-hmm.
as Ellie's backstory.
Yeah,
What was it like, zooming into the characters that way and exploring that with Storm?
it was really cool, and I'm really glad we got to see Ellie's backstory. Only and again, that's like one. It's a very big part of her life, but like it was probably that was what like that whole episode took place over the space of like 2 hours or something. Um, so it's like 2 hours of her life, but like so much happened and so much changed in that 2 hours, and it was so fun. I was really hoping that the Left Behind story would be in the show, and I was really pleased when I saw that it was. And yeah, working with Storm was great. We just had a lot of fun, and it was nice to do like a lighter episode for some of it. Some of it was lighter. Yeah, it was.
Heavy at the end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's fine. It was a lot of fun, and that was like the first thing back after Christmas break. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I loved the escalator bit. I was
Mm.
knackered. I was so tired after that escalator scene. I went and had like McDonald's fries after. There was like McDonald's like right outside, and I couldn't tell you the last time I had a McDonald's because I'm vegan, so I don't eat like meat or anything. But yeah, McDonald's fries were a necessity after that. To that
A
scene.
good comfort treat. Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of an opposite scenario from you and Pedro, who got to spend so much time together. By
Mm.
contrast, you and Storm just have this one
Mm.
moment to really come together. How did you two kind of work on your chemistry and your history together?
I mean, we didn't really. Um, and like me and Pedro didn't either. Like to begin with, we just met and were thrown straight into it. And me and Storm were the same. We literally met for the first time when we were like on set or for rehearsals, like the day before. Um, so we didn't really have the chance to sit down and like talk about it and figure it out. It was all everything that we needed was really in the script. So it was such like a handbook full of like everything that we needed. And Craig and Neil were always on hand to chat if we had any questions. But I think we just went for it. We just like uh, yeah, you just sort of have to go for it and hope that it works. And I think it did.
Definitely did. And that episode ends with a you know, an attack, which is not the first time you encounter those. I love how they introduced the clickers in this series because it's just as terrifying as in the game. What was your first reaction when you saw the people in that crazy makeup?
It was so cool. The prosthetics were incredible. It was scary. I'm so desensitized to things now from like working in this industry since I was 11 that it sort of didn't bother me. Like, and seeing Troy Baker with the axe in his neck, like for that in episode 8, was it like I realized afterwards that I just had like no reaction because it's so normal for me to see this sort of thing on a daily basis now. But no, like the detail of the prosthetics pieces was insane, and everyone wanted to like just prod them, sort of follow me. We just wanted to like touch.
And I think there's, you know, speaking of desensitizing, there's a really nicely teased arc for Ellie about her kind of relationship to violence and like kind of her fascination with it. Like from the moment in that first episode where Joel beats the guard outside of Boston, you see this look on her face and she's kind of in awe. And that's grows and is charted over the whole series. Is that difficult for you to chart that kind of like incremental growth over a span of time?
I had a lot of help with that. It was basically just like at the time, if there was any specific, I didn't think about it, to be honest. Like the incremental things, I didn't really. But if there was any like thing that was specific, we chatted about it on the day and just felt it. But yeah, the violence thing is interesting. I think she definitely is. Like David was right. She does have a violent heart, and just seeing like the moments that comes out in season 1 is really interesting. And yeah, definitely like hint to more violence later. Like her capacity for violence, I think, is actually what scares her. I think it scares her, yeah, and that's why she can't hear it when David says she has a violent heart. I think it's like, yeah, I think she knows that she does, and it scares her. And the same when she like chops his face in at the end. I think what she's more scared, not of David in that moment, but of what she did and what she's capable of.
Yeah, well, that episode is really great. You get, you know, that's the one point in the story where you're really without Joel. And it seems like Ellie is almost surprised at herself as she attacks David, even though it's very much justified. There's such an emotional release after that moment. What was filming that like?
Intense. Yeah, it was like that was one of the longest days that we did, and the actual hacking of that was at the very, very end of a very long day, with fire, and yeah, it was a lot, but it was yeah, as you say, it was an emotional release for sure. She's on fight or flight mode the entire time, and this was like the epitome of like the fight mode. She just, yeah, I think it was complete like instinct, and she had no control over herself, and that's what I think is so terrifying and cool for me, like playing it. But yeah,
Terrifying for the character for sure.
yeah.
I want to talk about, you know, kind of her position at the end, because the end of this story is very infamous, and you know, Joel makes the decision to lie to Ellie about what's actually happened. How much do you think Ellie is aware? Like, does she totally buy it? What is the level of trust there at the end of this season?
It's a good question. I think there is. I don't think she does totally buy it. Craig's there. I don't think she. I think she. How much am I allowed to say about like how Ellie feels in the last moments? Ask him. He wrote it.
Yeah. What does he ask? You felt in the last moments?
Yeah, like, do I believe Joel? I don't think that I.
She's not allowed to answer that question.
I'm not allowed to.
Ooh,
well, no worries.
I know. I did try and play a game, but it didn't work.
Oh, well, it's lunchtime.
Okay.
Well, we won't make you answer anything else.
Okay.
You don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah.
But you know, speaking of, we can't wait for season 2 to happen.
Yes.
Have you, have you spoiled yourself for like second game things to like anticipate what's coming next? Are you getting excited?
Yeah, I'm well excited. I know a lot about what I still a lot that I don't know. I've I've watched people make these incredible like movies of the gameplay on YouTube. So I've watched a couple of them. Like when we were shooting season 1, I couldn't help myself. I would just watch like her and the Ellie and Dina story in season 2 and of the game. And I know I know what happens as well with like other things. But yeah, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be great. I'm really excited. We start in, I don't know when we start actually, but at some point, and it's gonna be so much fun. I can't wait to go back.
Well, we all cannot wait to see the finished product. I hope you have a great time making it. And thank you so much for sitting down with me. For everyone who's out there watching, subscribe to Gold Derby. Bella, thank you so much again.
Thank you. Nice to see you.